Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. You are watching the Weekend Boost on KUHS, the stream on Melody Drive. Guys, my name is Paul Lane. I'm the host of your show. Today I'm going to be talking to El Jefe himself, Mr. Henry Archuleta, the station manager of KUHS Denver and a personal friend of mine. Guys, before we get started, I just want to give you some updates on some very exciting news that I have and some new things that I've discovered. I was approved for knee replacement a year ago last February, so it's going to be 2 years this February that I was approved for both knees, ACL, MCL, and meniscus. And I took a hunch, and I followed a hunch, and I went to this company and I ordered these. These are knee massage machines. I bought 2 of them, and it's very simple. What I wanted to show you is that if you look inside here, it's got infrared lights, and it massages. I can feel it massaging as I go. It's got temperature settings. It's got intensity settings, and it's got a timer on it, so it automatically shuts off. But here's what's exciting about it. I'm walking around without a limp. I'm walking around without a cane. I don't park in the handicap spot no more. It's a miracle. I'm still in the healing, curing process, but I love it, man.
You know, I want to go really X-rated on that.
Okay, talk to me.
Can you use it elsewhere?
Yes. Yes. I'm going to tell you. I have a bad ankle. I've used it there. But yeah, you want to use it something that's fun. No, I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, that was the G-rated version. A couple of other things. I just want to share this with you. This sucker, oh my gosh, guys. I paid $100 for it, but it's got a little brain on it. And I can take this and I can charge it with my USB charger, and this will put massage electronic impulses all the way to my body. Listen to this. It has 8 different modes to promote blood circulation, stimulate acupoints to relieve fatigue, for soles of your feet, for the arch, for plantar fasciitis. You can use it for that. Kneading, stimulate acupoints to improve plantar pain and insomnia. And the last one, and there's a couple more, but the one I really use is the 8th one, soothing meridians and enhancing metabolism. I haven't lost any weight, but I got to tell you, this thing feels great. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I bought a couple of these infrared lights. I was so impressed with how good I felt with this knee machine. The company is Nooro, N-O-O-R-O, that I purchased one of these, and I'm not going to shine this into the camera, but what this is a far infrared light, and what this does is it penetrates 2 inches below the skin, and it creates a lot of blood flow circulation. And what they tell me at Neuro is this will actually create collagen in your body, the knee massages as well as the light, and the collagen produces more circulation, more blood flow, and literally will help to, according to them, grow cartilage in your bones. So we'll see what happens. I'm walking around like a champ. And that's all I can say right now. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started, guys. Henry, thank you so much for being here with me.
Oh, yeah, this is always fun. I like to come on your show because we got a lot of subjects to talk about.
Oh,
we're going to go over several of them, right? That's what
we're going to talk about all kinds of things, yes.
And some of it may or may not rattle your cage, but if it does, that's neither here nor there. This is all entertainments and
absolutely,
and informative type of delivery of our oration, right?
Yes. And here's the thing, Henry, is what I'm going to talk about today is not my opinion. I'm going to talk about facts. I think when you're having a discussion or a dialogue with someone and they start coming back with you with a circular argument, it's very difficult to reason with some people, and so I want to come with cold hard facts on everything I'm going to talk about today. If that's okay with you.
Oh, that's okay with me. Are you going to go over the Jakarta methods? You know, the variables of for men, and this is what we want to talk about, because as we conduct ourselves in the human histories, we see so many different things of repetitive ugliness, and you and I cannot understand why. Well, we can understand. We know what the problem is. It's these demented men in charge.
Oh.
And what they're doing and how they claim they're leaders. They're not leaders.
No. Here's an opinion, but I think it's a strong one. I think it's a valid one. I'm sick and tired of male egos. I've talked about it before. I'm a feminist. I'm proud of that. But the male ego is just destroying the world. It's destroying so many things. And I want to get off track a little bit. Yesterday, there was a vote to stop the bombing and genocide that's going on, the massacres that are going on in Gaza. There was a vote, and every UN country voted, except for the United Kingdom, they abstained. But the United States vetoed the vote to stop the bombing. And I was very troubled by that, Henry, because there are people that are literally having their heads blown off, and I'm not exaggerating.
What is the point of this? This is so
Male
archaic.
ego. It's
so archaic. It's like, okay, and then they claim that, oh, they're hiding under hospitals. No, they're not. That's just a sewer under the hospital that they made sure and take a picture of and say they're hiding in there.
It's very staged. It's very orchestrated. Yeah, who is they? Well,
Hamas.
This is such a difficult thing. I got to tell you, I was completely pro-Israel, and I still am pro-Israel people. But until I started looking at Benjamin Netanyahu, sorry about that. I got a little bit upset when I started hearing him tell stories and lies. I started hearing about, they knew about this October 7th event for over a year before, Henry.
And what is, they knew what?
The Israeli government, the IDF, they knew that there was going to be an attack. They knew roughly when it was going to happen. They even knew how it was going to happen. And so I said yesterday on a TikTok video, aren't they complicit? Because there's record of a senior intelligence official going to the leadership in Israel and saying, there is an attack on the horizon. The chatter was going up. Everybody knew.
How do you like that? The attack. Blow up kids, women and children, blow up hospitals, blow up schools, because the Hamas is hiding in there.
But here's, it's terrible.
Sense.
Well, it's that circular argument again. But the Holocaust. Guys, I do not deny the Holocaust. I 100% support the Jewish uprising that happened in Warsaw when all the Jews came and started killing Germans. No one complained because they were brutally oppressed. They were caged in concentration camps. They were being starved. Water was being rationed. Sound familiar? In no way am I also condoning or supporting what Hamas did on October 7th. But here's what's coming out. Hostages are saying, well, a guy came and took me, and this is actually recorded. One of the hostage takers came and told me, we're not going to hurt you. We just want to take you hostage. Later she escaped, and she said that on Israeli TV.
Oh, but they are not going to push that out there.
Well, the other thing they said was, most of the people being killed were being killed by the Israeli forces because they don't negotiate. And so, I'm really confused because all these women that were supposedly raped, all of a sudden there's no record of it. And there's supposedly doctors that are saying women were raped, but I haven't heard a single woman come out and say she was raped at all.
That's right.
And all the hostages, 4 women have been released, and every one of them came back and said, hey, thank you. I wish you the best. Call it Stockholm Syndrome, but I'm going to tell you that was a little bit less than an angry release, And
you think about all these things that go on. I mean, you go back to World War II, World War I. You go back to the Vietnam War, all these things. Let's bring up this person named Henry Kissinger.
Oh my gosh, Henry, come on, let's talk to me, man.
No, we talk about this man. Everybody's trying to praise him. They couldn't do it. They try to praise him. Everybody all over the world said, F that man. Mm-hmm. Everybody knew about his atrocities.
Yep.
I even got to read a portion of his doctoral dissertation, but they took it down. They hid it. And that doctoral dissertation talks about how to rid yourself of 50 million people without just eradicate them. You don't have to support them. Get rid of them.
Man, you gave me the perfect lead into this Jakarta method.
That's right.
Did you know back in 1946 and 47, and I, by the way, I'm not a communist, but here's what I want to tell you. This is history. The United States saw that communist leaders were winning elections in France and Spain. In Europe, they were coming back and they were winning. And the United States was very threatened by that, and so they came up with an idea. Harry S. Truman was a senator back then and a leader back then. I can't remember what his position was, but someone came to him and said, here's what you got to do. I believe he was actually the president. He said, you got to scare the hell out of the American people. And here's what they did, Henry. They created a boogeyman. They created a boogeyman. You remember going through history and we heard about people in Vietnam were this boogeyman, and we hear about the people in Iran were boogeymen, and the people in every country that we've ever invaded were the boogeyman. And right now the people coming from South America are boogeymen, and oh yeah, they are now. But we've kind of started a lot of that.
Here's what I find interesting. You know how you talk about coming from South America. Let's close the borders down there. Close the borders. Okay, then close it on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Build a wall on the West Coast. Where's the wall?
What about the North Coast?
Yeah.
Hey, they want to build the one to keep us out.
Yeah, and that's the one where they ripped off this entire land, New Mexico, Texas, Arizona, California, all this beautiful land. They stole it, and now they're just moving the border so that you and then claiming that, okay, you can't come here. You're Latin. No, I'm not Latin. Are you Mexican? No, I'm not Mexican. You know, they go on to this name tag.
Labeling.
Yes. And they can't stop us because you and I, we're pushing the weight forward and getting our education. We have our education. We're carving the way for all the young people coming up. There are some lots of bright individuals coming in.
Educated, knowledgeable.
Getting their doctorals, not their bachelor's.
Not their bachelor's, yeah, not their...
They're going with the doctoral.
Yes.
And let's talk.
Yes.
Can we talk?
And there's a voice that's being heard.
Big time.
Things are changing. The whole economy, the whole societal norms that we once knew, they've changed and they continue to change, and that's a good thing. But here's what I wanted to start. You start talking about Henry Kissinger, and I wanted to go on with that. So, Harry Truman figured out a way to kill millions of people without killing a single American. They called it the anti-communist method. Jakarta.
They used that.
That was their boogeyman. The communists were the boogeyman, and they actually got Jakarta to believe so strongly in anti-communism that they got the people in Indonesia, what we now call Indonesia, to kill over 1 million people.
And where does that come from?
It becomes from American
ideology of that.
Ideology, imperialism.
Kissinger.
And also Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger, I will tell you, and I haven't gotten that far, I just got the book a couple of days ago, but I am telling you that in the next pages to come, that's the name that's going to come up, because he was instrumental in the killing of millions. We don't even know how many people died because of the exploits of this man.
That's right. They were trying, he died, and they were trying to give him the props.
Yes,
know?
yes.
Well, yeah, he died, but everybody didn't care. They were happy that he was gone off this planet.
Yes, the world is,
a better place.
The world is a better place. Henry Kissinger, you know, up till his death, they were still consulting in him. How can we murder people?
Yeah.
You know something? The model that they used in Jakarta to kill 1 million people, they cut and pasted it. They went and did it in Syria. They did it in Libya. They did it in where else? Iraq. They've done it in so many places. You know, between George Bush 1 and George Bush 2, they killed over 2 million people.
And to think about this, Paul, and
the United States policy.
Yeah, and you and I both know, and this is what you and I, we go back and forth with this because we both know, you know, you're an outspoken person. You've always been this way. You've done a lot of lectures. You've gone out and spoke to schools and stuff like that. You know how to deliver this message, and that's what is good right here on your show about this man, Henry Kissinger. We talked about. We're going to improv what we have here. Yes,
that was never a part of the discussion, but I'm glad you brought it up because, frankly, if you don't know about Henry Kissinger, I highly, highly encourage you to look him up. Look up why people hate Henry Kissinger. You'd be really amazed. And there's a lot of information, guys. A lot of information. Yes. The other thing that and I'm not a Muslim either, guys, but I can't figure out why this country is so hell-bent on killing Muslims.
I know.
Hey, you know what?
And that's like Catholic. Killing Catholics, killing Muslims.
It's ethnic cleansing.
Yes.
You know, Henry, before I joined the Army, I had a friend, Al. He was an elevator operator at the Cosmopolitan Hotel.
Right.
And Al was Iranian. Excuse me, not Iranian. And Al was the most wonderful, lovable, sweetest, kindest man I had ever met. I mean, he was he took me to his home, and his mother made me these great big bread, like tortillas, but, and this food that I had never had before.
It was dynamite,
I would venture to say that about 80% of us in America hardly know or don't know any Muslim people at all.
That's true.
But we hate them. Why? You know, I know it's going to bounce around a little bit here, but I got to tell you, I say what's on my mind. You know, in Europe, they teach their high school kids about American propaganda. Did you know that they teach about the in-depth power of the American propaganda? The media machine. They teach it. Everyone in the world can see it but us.
Can we interject a little bit of this right now?
We
talked as we walked in here.
Yes, yes.
What the media, what this social media does to our
Oh.
station. And how it, on one hand, they're deleting all the stuff. They took down Dr. Ramon Castillo, all the things that
Yeah,
we
they
talked
completely
about.
banned his show
Yeah, they just took it
against
off.
community standards, and he didn't say a single thing,
And
in
this
my
is,
opinion.
yeah, and like you said, the power of the big ones, how, you know, they're on top of us, and we know this, and so we have all our methods on how to get around this kind of thing. Although they don't like us having the power of this media that is here right now.
Because
You
they
and I
can only
don't-
ban so much of it.
It's because you're bringing such quality subjects into
Yes.
this studio.
Yes.
And there's been several. It's not just this Dr. Ramon Castillo, but it's been several others that they've muted it or they've taken a piece out, and I'm getting a lot of that right now. You've been seeing that.
That's censorship. That's that's no more freedom of the press, freedom of speech.
Now, here's the
Free
thing.
speech.
We have TikTok, which is on the other side of the world.
Mhm.
And so they're allowing us to go out, and of course you do it, I do it, we all do TikTok.
Mhm.
And you see the variables of who is really listening. And you can feel it. You can say, well, how come it's all big over here and over here?
Oh yeah, I gotta tell you,
And you're
think
talking about the media. That's what it is right there.
Yep.
The power that
highly restricted. Facebook is highly restricted. I'll give you an example, Henry. I can put a post out. Let me see here. I can put a post out, and on Facebook I'll get maybe 3 or 4 likes. But if I go on TikTok, my posts get. Let me see if I can bring it up here.
you get towards the thousands on some of them.
Up to the thousands. I mean, I've had some with 300,000 views. I mean, I did one yesterday morning, 252 views. What part's real and what parts are lies? It's what's going on in Israel.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of information coming out that's contradicting Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu has been caught laughing about the United States and saying, I don't care what they say about human rights. I'm going to bomb them all. He thinks they're animals. When they released the hostages, they called them male and female. The Israelis, a woman and a man. That's dehumanizing. It might seem minimal, but it's maximal to you when you're being minimized. But I wrote a poem. And if I can find it, I want to share it with you, because do you mind if I share this?
No, that's what you told me. You sent it to me, and that was really well put together.
So do you you may or may not know who Gil Scott-Heron was. Gil Scott-Heron was an activist, a singer, a genius back in the 70s and 80s, and
Exceptional music.
exceptional music. I'm going to give you a little bit of piece of what I know about him. About his song. He had a song, album winner in America, and a song that was called the Watergate Blues. And he says, the shock of the Vietnam defeat sent White House donkey scourging, and when the roll was called, it was Phillips 66, Boeing, Dow, and Lockheed. Ask them what they're fighting for, and they will never mention the economics of war. Ecological warfare, above all else, destroys the land. If we can't break the Asian wheel, we'll bomb the dikes and starve the man. But what really happened to J. Edgar Hoover? The king is proud of Patrick Gray, while America's faith is drowning beneath that cesspool. Watergate. How much more evidence do the citizens need before they see the election was sabotaged by trickery and greed? And if that's so, and if who we got didn't win, let's do the whole damn election over again. And it goes on, and I mean, Gil Scott-Heron was way advanced, way advanced, and he was so ahead of his time. But I wrote this short poem just to honor the memory, and I don't have my glasses. There they are. I'm going to read this because I wrote this last week, and it takes about 3 minutes, but here it goes. Gil Scott-Heron, if you were only alive, you'd tell us the sin that we can't see because we stand too close to the screen. How Ronald Reagan, the star president, said, say no to drugs. And while we were all shocked about the tax breaks he gave to the rich, he was delivering those same drugs into poor black and brown neighborhoods. You could tell us about the private prisons built at the same time, and how the sentence was 5 times that for crack as powdered cocaine. And while we all thought it was a disgrace, we never thought about how his party was systematically removing the opposing vote. You could have warned us about the exploits of George H.W. Bush and how he continued the right-wing charade as he quietly removed elected leaders of our Latin American neighbors, only to replace every one of them with ruthless dictators. You wouldn't have held back sharing their hell-bent ideologies of destruction of any growing economy, all led by the illustrious CIA. Your words would ring true when you paraded the real history of the millions of innocent Iraqis Afghanis, who knows of what other Islamic people killed by the Bush family, headed off by the greedy, corrupt, and evil deeds of Dick Shoot-him-in-the-face Cheney. And never let us forget how W's granddaddy Prescott Bush was not only a Nazi sympathizer, he was funding the execution of the Jews himself. Oh, Gil Scott-Heron, you'd have had so much to say about how the Republican Party and the religious right became the Taliban of today, and how we still fight for civil rights, even though we've been fighting that fight since the 1860s. You'd have an entire new album to sing about the unlimited, unhinged, unethical escapades of 45. The unhinged grabber of the hoo-ha. You'd start with his racist lawsuits filed against him in 1973. You'd do your magic about his unfounded, unsubstantiated insistence on the execution of the Central Park Five, who were in fact proclaimed innocent. Or his ruthless, endless, mindless attacks on the citizenship of America's first black president, and so much more. You would have had so much to say about so many crimes that he explains away as nothing but fake news. And how he's mastered the art of being the ultimate victim. Oh, you describe his orange face in a way that we could all see when we closed our eyes. If you could only tell the world how he stacked the Supreme Court with Federalists who overturned Roe v. Wade, a 50-year precedent in the USA as I recollect. Voter suppression, removing thousands from the voter rolls and doing anything they can to keep the masses from being heard is the one and only mission of the GOP. If you could tell us about the MAGA cult and their insurrection, and how it was orchestrated, initiated, and implemented by those fooled into believing they're God, a megalomaniac charlatan who couldn't even hold his own bowels. I can hear you now enraged that he danced around in front of the world like a puppet in Helsinki and sang the song of Putin, our nuclear enemy, as he blatantly told the world that America's 17 security agencies all got it wrong, and how very good people marched with their faces covered yelling, "Jews will not replace us." I could almost hear you laughing now how his maggots defended his crimes, even if they were his victims, and how they willingly let them throw them all under the bus.
Ooh. That should be printed and put out there.
It's a shame that this poem is true.
Totally true. And well put together, because you had this 45, and he's still running rampant, still running loose.
Threatening to be a dictator right out in the open.
Right there in the media.
And the media is minimizing it. Why is that, Henry?
Because they're all part of it.
Because there's a larger scheme here. There's a big picture. And you know what? It cannot happen. This man cannot be the president of the United States.
And Miss Cheney, the wife, and she's the GOP. She's on the GOP. She says, we cannot let this man get loose.
Nope. The Democrats and the Republicans agree. Well, the Republicans that of old.
Yeah, they're stuck in stupid. You know, they're stuck in this format that you and I just cannot believe.
Mm.
It's like, I always say this about certain things in life. I call them surprises. Surprise! Don't you call them that?
Yes,
Some of these
I
things
guess
that
you could
come
call them
about.
that. Yes, yes.
It's like you'll be in life and you'll be doing these, like you with, you're losing your wife and you had a surprise. You wrote a book about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the biggest surprise that you could never, ever dream of.
Yes. Or to look at paullane.net.
That's right. It was great.
Yeah, so it is. It's true.
It's true. Then you get this, what you're seeing here. You wrote this poem.
Yes.
And you're writing about 45. Surprise, the man's still running rampant.
Still there. He's still there. He
He's
should have faded off into darkness.
Yeah, he's been indicted. He's been impeached twice. He's been caught. They threw him out of New York, but they proved that he's just a thief.
They're about to take all his money, Letitia James, and last week he announced that he is not going to respond to any more legal requests from Judge Chutkan in one of his many trials, and he says, I'm just going to pretend that I'm waiting for the appeal, so anything you said doesn't count anymore. Mr. Trump, I don't say President, Mr. Trump, beware, because she ain't going to mess around with you. I hope
this lady does not mess around. She said, and then on top of it, he under his breath calls her black. Now, what's the color have to do with anything? Mm-hmm. Like if you're a subhuman or something.
Mm-hmm. Inferior.
Mm-hmm.
It's that classism. It's that mentality of
Yes.
superiority, of thought, his perception of himself. I don't know. But some good news. Good news. Let's talk about some good news, Henry. I got some good news. George Santos is no longer serving.
I could not stop laughing about that one.
George the Balder.
Yeah. Now let's talk about this man. He was up there. I mean, he's openly gay.
Yes.
He never admitted it. Then he was stealing all the money from all the donors and everything, claiming he was this, claiming he was that, claiming he was this, and actually he was nothing.
And when the House had an opportunity to remove him, they said no. We decline.
Yeah.
What a compromise of values, Henry.
What is wrong with this picture?
Okay, I got to correct you on something we've talked about before while that's on my mind. You said both wings are of the same bird, and you know what? I do agree to a point.
Yes.
But look at this, man. From the time of Ronald Reagan, you know, Ronald Reagan would have been prosecuted if he wasn't protected by the exploits of the next leader who was also part of Bill Barr. George H.W. Bush would have been a war criminal along with Dick Cheney. And, what's his name, the guy that just died, I don't even want to say his name. George W. Bush killed over 1 million people with it started a 20-year war with no escape, no end plan, no
reason.
No. And so all of this is coming to play, and we're seeing it.
And hopefully, some of our narrative and dialogues that we've been putting up online, the narratives and the dialogue that we're talking about now, hopefully they don't go ahead and try to quell you.
Take it down. Take it down, I'll put it back up.
You know, TikTok, and this is what you and I find so interesting as we broadcast all over these platforms. And this is so funny, even YouTube has attacked us several times. Mm. And this is funny, we had we had Ron Deshay on here. We're doing a show, and it's not a real show. Mm. It's WTF, and we're just making up stuff. And she was saying that I got all these things wrong with me. Viruses and stuff. And then when she claimed that she had a cure for me and all this stuff, and they took it down because they said we can't be...
You can't treat, diagnose, or cure.
Medical...
Henry, yes.
Inappropriate or wrong medical advice.
What do you think that is?
And there was this joke. I mean, all these comedians who go on TV or online, they said, these are jokes. Mm-hmm. These are all joking. We talk about blacks, Hispanic, we talk about Asians, we talk about virus, we talk about everything. This is humor. Mm-hmm. And that show is nothing but humor. And they took it down. Yeah. And so that's YouTube also is following suit, like Facebook and everybody else.
So interesting that you brought that topic up, Henry. Do you know why that is? You can't say that?
Why is that?
In 1902, there was a very, very, very wealthy man. He was John D. Rockefeller.
Oh, I don't remember that.
John D. Rockefeller gave $1 million to the American school system so that he could manipulate it. John D. Rockefeller actually has a manifest, Henry, and in that manifest he says, I don't want a country of doers, I want a country of workers. I don't want anyone to be educated to become successful. He couldn't take the competition. You know, he owned Standard Oil, and he put everyone out of business.
That's right.
But what he did beyond that, he gave $18 million more to the American school system that we still follow today, that we are still a nation of workers and not beers of doers or successful people. But wait, it's not finished. He went to what became now, there was a medicine called allopathic medicine. I've talked about it. You could go at one time, there was a chiropractor, there was an osteopathic, a naturopathic, a curandero, a Chinese medicine, there was shaman, all kinds of medicine. They were all about the right price, the same price. And then he came along and he said, I'm going to give millions of dollars to this organization. We're going to call it allopathic medicine, and we're going to undermine and undercut every other profession, especially chiropractic.
Yep. Chiropractic and
curandissimo. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thousands of year-old practices, ancient practices.
They have been around forever.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Proven.
You know, here's the other thing. There was one plant that was above all the other plants. If you look at any medical journal from the 1900s, 1920 and below, behind and back, cannabis was on top of
number one.
Yep.
They even put it in all the
medical journals.
They put cocaine and
cannabis.
Cannabis
yep.
inside their.
And I've talked about how we have cannabinoid receptors in our body.
Yes.
And I'm a cannabinoid receptor, guys. I don't care what anyone says. I freaking love that stuff. But he actually literally overtook the fuel, the fossil fuels industry, the education industry, and the medical industry. That's why it's illegal for you, because they also took over the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. That's here to protect you.
They put the word federal drug.
Yeah, federal drug. Oh my God!
Why are they right? You know why?
Why? Because they gave they gave them that power, and they went after anybody that was a competition to allopathic medicine. Anybody.
Yes, and then the FDA could take you down because
Yeah.
we're federal government and we can do what we want.
So you cannot treat, cure, or diagnose. I learned this back in 1982. You cannot have any claim to treat, cure, or diagnose, and that's what we're telling you today. Anything I've shown you today is not going to treat, cure, or diagnose you, but it will make you feel better.
Oh wait, the pharma can.
Oh, but pharma can, yes.
Oh wait, yeah.
Wait a minute, what about all the side effects on these commercials? Why are we buying this crap?
20 side effects.
Yes, including oily discharge. You know, you can get lymphoma, you can get cancer, you can get a heart attack, you can get ruptured kidneys, disc, depression, suicidal thoughts. I mean, the list
kill
goes
yourself.
on and on and on, and oily discharge.
I know, oily discharge.
I don't know how people are buying that and how they're getting away with it. They're saying,
To
you know what?
advertise it like that.
This might kill you, but it might make your skin rash go away.
Well, you know, this other stuff is good for, everybody's buying it because it's good for diet. So it makes everybody race for Ozempic.
Ozempic, yes.
Yes.
No, because you lose weight when you take it, yeah.
Yeah, and so Oprah comes out, were you taking Ozempic? No, I just lost it with my weight loss program.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about the FDA. There's a new drug that was just approved that can literally cure sickle cell anemia. I don't know if you heard about it, Henry.
No, a lot of the blacks have.
Yes, it's almost exclusive to black people. And they got a cure. They got something that literally cures it. It was made with the CRISPR, the gene splicing. And the only problem is it costs $2 million, Henry. I'll cure your sickle cell anemia if you got $2 million, so who does that exclude?
Everybody.
But yet, if you go look back and find a history of the research that they did to create this drug, it was American taxpayer funded.
That's right.
And so here we are getting double taxed, double charged. What's wrong with that picture?
And that's what's wrong with it. Exactly what you said. What's wrong with that?
Nobody says a thing. I got a friend who's on his 42nd chemotherapy, Henry.
Wow.
Beto Terrazas, I love you, brother.
Yeah, you brought him in here, and he
Yes.
came in sick.
Yes,
But
he
he
had
was
cancer
feeling
then.
good. He was feeling good that day, and you came in and did a show with you.
He's still alive, and there were 10 people in his group that he started with. He's the only one alive.
Wow.
But he's on his 42nd round of chemo, and I went to see him, and I'm sorry, man, but all I could ask was, why didn't you ask him about quality of life?
That's right. And they don't talk to you about that. All they want to do, they need sick people. The big pharma needs sick people. If you go to any grocery store, just look on the outside. People just bypass this. One side it says, right down the middle, King Supers. On this side, food. On that side, drugs. So you need the drugs to cure you from the food they're feeding you here. That shit's, I mean, what are they feeding you? Food-like products. That's what they're,
I'm still waiting for the AMA to come out with a drug that cures. You know, I really am. I'm still waiting for a cure. And you know, when someone comes out with a cure, you know, like for example, Jonas Salk came out with a cure of polio, and he gave away that patent. And you know what it meant? It destroyed a whole industry for them.
Yeah, that's what happened because everybody were getting polio.
So many people had polio, and
what about
nobody
the
needed that
shots
treatment.
that everybody had to get?
Mm-hmm. I don't know about those, man. I'm not educated in that, but I do know that he gave away that patent. And a lot of people's lives were saved. And you know what? If he hadn't, we'd still be fighting it like diabetes.
Yes, exactly right.
And we'd still be paying
diabetes
exorbitant
shouldn't be
prices.
there. Did you know back in the 40s, 50s, there was hardly any diabetic problems? Did you know?
I
It's
know
the
that.
foods. The
Yes,
foods
it's the
that
food. They've taken fiber out of our diet. They've put so much
McDonald's
and steroids and hormones
and
and
all the all the different places that sell you these foods, and they allow it. It's like barely meat, and then the rest is garbage.
Yes,
You
it
know,
is.
it's like-
I'm sorry, but you're right.
And it gives you cancers, it gives you heart attacks, it screws you all up. They load it with salt. Salt is the worst thing for you in terms of your internal organs and especially your heart. Salt, solidifies you, man. Just plugs up all your arteries. And you're right. You're talking about the FDA. The FDA doesn't care. you have to go through them to get it approved. And Big Pharma gets right through there real quick.
So let me tell you what I learned about this last night. There's an obscure law that's never been used, and it states that if your research was funded by taxpayer dollars and you are charging exorbitant prices like $2 million, the U.S. government reserves the right to share that patent with other producers. Did you know that?
No.
So, U.S. government, if you're listening, we need you. We need you to go over there and we need you to override that patent and give it out so that people can afford to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, we do. I went to go see the movie Killer of the Flower Moon this week, Henry.
Really, was it good?
My heart is still broken. We talked about diabetes. That's what made me think about it. All of the Osage people were suffering from diabetes because of the poison liquor that was brought in. And they had a man that they fooled. True story, true story.
Yes.
It was right around the time of the Tulsa, Tulsa,
Yes.
Oklahoma massacres.
I remember that.
Black Wall Street.
Yes.
Right about that same time, right in that same area. And Robert De Niro played the role that, and
The man can act.
Leonardo, I hated them both. Leonardo
Yeah.
DiCaprio, you just hate them both.
Because of the way they did
But
it.
their portrayal of those
The
characters. Yes.
Mhm.
A 32nd degree Mason, and he was the best friend of the Osage people. They loved him. He even spoke their language.
Wow.
And he would go to their gatherings and he would christen their children, and he was they called him the king.
Yeah.
And it turns out that there were 18 Osage people who were mysteriously unalived, and he was finally put in jail, but he got out of jail, and I don't know how many people he murdered, but you got to see this movie, guys. You really got to see
And
this
it
movie.
just upsets you to the nth degree, though. I've heard a lot of reviews on it, and the things that everybody says. I got this message from somebody. There's two people I got message to it. Was from CU. A professor wants to, he's got a doctoral degree. He wants to talk to me about certain things.
Mm.
And another one talking, they want to say, how come you don't put on a show about the reviews of this movie?
Ooh,
I go,
wow,
whoa.
part of that one.
Yeah, I said, you're going to have to bring in a lot of different people with the variables.
Varying perspectives.
Yes, because you're going to have variables here, and it could get heated, because it pisses a lot of people off. Yet, on one hand, some say, oh, well, they needed to be eradicated.
Yeah, but did you know that at one time the people of Oklahoma, the Osage people, were per capita the richest people on earth?
Big time.
When it starts out the movie, they had white cooks and chauffeurs and butlers. It was just amazing to see.
Mm-hmm.
And they were sophisticated and they were intelligent. And they wouldn't even come to investigate these murders until the Osage people gave $20,000 to Washington.
See?
The Federal Bureau, who became the FBI, and J. Edgar Hoover, who hated all, not everybody, anybody who wasn't a white Christian, who was a closet gay.
Uh-huh. A closet gay.
With that, that really, I wanted to lead that into this. Guys, please pick up this book. It's an old book. D. Brown wrote it. It's called Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. It will go into everything from the Sand Creek Massacre to the so many treaties broken by the United States government over the years. Did you know that there were over 240 languages in this country when the first colonizers came?
Yes.
240 languages, and they say, well, all Indians are the same. Well, they're not. They're not.
And they treated them like they were. Now, there was, what's his name, that come out of there, and he finally passed away, but he used to be so well-spoken and outspoken.
Ben Nighthorse Campbell?
Not only him, but the other one, I forgot his name, but he also came up from Wounded Knee area. And
not Russell Means.
Russell Means.
Yes, Russell Means. Leonard Peltier.
Yes, and they put him in prison.
He's been in prison unjustified for over 40 years, guys. This is unjust, without evidence.
They don't care.
No.
They want to put him away, so shut him up.
Why? Because in the Constitution itself said Native Americans are savage, they're not human. In the Constitution.
You cannot put somebody out of a sovereign country into your prison claiming he's
a prisoner of war. Yeah. That's
a sovereign nation.
Yes.
What is wrong with them?
Yes.
It's like you and I both know how this works.
They're trying to
put that pipeline through their... No, you can't do that.
No, it's something's fishy there. And it's been over 40 years, and Leonard Peltier is still in prison.
Yes, and they want him to die.
Man.
And they're making him suffer in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are all the outspoken people that you got to meet, I got to meet. There's all these individuals that we have touched, and with this media outlet, like I said, I've been seeing things that are surprise, big time. Because even when we did the presidential thing with the Biden bus, and it was a virtual, it was during the COVID times. We did the virtual Biden bus, and man, we got so much rhetoric. You know, it's like, whoa, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Who does these things?
Yeah. We may get some kickback on this one too, Henry.
Oh, you always do. Well, it'll only show so many people watching, but we used to have the thing called the watch party, where it's to show the thousands.
Another one that Henry, Facebook took away from us.
Yeah, so, and we used to see, whoa, you got almost to 1,000 on this one. You almost got it was really neat. And so they made sure and clam it up and then watch you. And then,
you want anybody to see your show? Boost it. Pay us money.
Yeah. Yeah.
No thanks, Facebook.
Yeah.
No thanks, Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg also has, by the way, announced that he will allow any election lies to be broadcast on Facebook. So if you see some baloney that you kind of scratch your head and look at on Facebook, beware, because Mark Zuckerberg is given free permission. Never, and I'm sorry, but this is the truth, guys, the truth. Never forget Cambridge Analytica.
Cambridge is, and I've dealt with Cambridge, you know, they've asked me to do certain things. I do stuff on there, but not to give them information. It's to give the students there something to talk about. So I fill out all this information for them, and I know it just twists them, and they, what the heck's this? And it's good stuff. It's exactly like what you're saying, you know, a collection of data.
Yes, they collected our data. What is Cambridge Analytica?
It's what it is they put it together for, like, let's say they got everything that's within the show. They take it apart. This is something I was shown at Regis. They take it apart, separate it, and they, you know, collect all the words, put it together, and then they use it to sell.
They regurgitate it.
Yes, it's like, but it's mixed up in a different format. And from us, and from this one, and from that one.
So in other words, they take that information and use it against you.
Yes,
to their advantage and your disadvantage.
And they'll put maybe 10 of us, media, let's say, and they're going to do a digest of this. And they'll put it together and then turn around and sell it. Oh, what is this? Oh, 10% this, 20%, 40% this, and you know, they just put it together, and all the variables. It's got to be well thought out. Yeah, that's what they're doing there.
Yes, yes.
And once they think it out, they can sell it, whatever they're being requested to do.
To manipulate. And that's what happened.
Strictly for manipulation.
And this did not go on without the knowledge of those at the upper levels of Facebook. It went with their permission. And
Cambridge has exotic kinds of softwares that, you know, take
analyze,
analyze, analytical, and you know, they use critical thinking, and from there they use the analyticals of the softwares. And because we both know, and you probably didn't know, I know it because I know what they're doing here. I got to really keep an eye on everything. If I don't, you know how it is. I tell you all the time.
Censorship, man.
Yes, you always talk about the censorship. And I'm getting so much of it right now. Facebook is on one side saying this, on this side saying this. And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing to our media?
Yeah, what you're saying, that's kind of scary.
It is. Because I know there's an attack going on here. Anybody can report you. And once you get people reporting you repetitively, they come and send in, it's an AI bot. And so I have an AI bot too, that it comes off of Bard experimental that they gave me. And it's Google, so I have something even more exotic that can go hunt a bot. Dude, it's just like the Matrix.
Wow.
It exactly, you know how that little thing goes. That's how you look at a bot. You send in a bot to go look, and it finds the bot that's wreaking havoc on your system.
And AI's doing it.
AI's doing this.
Wow.
It's just like the damn Matrix. It's scary as hell.
Yeah.
And you think,
and I've heard AI as a threat to humanity.
Yes.
I think it sees us as the virus that needs to be gotten rid of.
What happened to Paul? I don't know. They zapped him, man.
Before I forget, guys, another book you must own: The New Jim Crow Method. I wondered who was Jim Crow. So I Googled it, and it said Jim Crow was a pejorative term. It was like calling someone the N-word.
That's right.
Jim Crow. They still use that term, pejorative. Look that up.
And they use that word because it's a if you have a good vocabulary, that word carries about 10,000 words behind it.
Yes, it's very, very. That's why I use the word pejorative.
Yes,
I want you to explore that. But let me tell you something that I learned from this book. This book will frickin' blow your mind when you talk about the U.S. prison population, the highest prison population on earth, and who is it dominated by? Not the ruling class. Our prisons are contractually filled with the U.S. government. There are 159 private prisons in this country, all contracted to be filled. Did you know a misdemeanor could be a life sentence for a black man?
Easily.
A black man has the same respect in the job market as a black man with a college degree has the same respect as a white man with a high school degree.
That's right.
And you know, when I was a kid, my mom told me, Hito, you're going to have to work twice as hard to get half the credit. And I can't imagine how hard it must be to be a black-skinned man in this country.
That's right.
I mean, it's.
Well, they have. I call it like even the NFL. Wouldn't you say?
Henry, we talk about the
slavery
combine.
Yeah,
they open up their teeth. You know, they look at you like
check
you're
your butts. Yeah,
like you're a horse, and the men just stand there.
Yeah.
You know,
you
want to buy me?
Yeah.
You know, it really is, and you know, and then those mob boys out there.
It's not $10 no more. It's $10 million.
Yeah. No, I mean they're compensated. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
But their property.
Yes, that's right.
They can't trade to. They can't go to another team.
You do something wrong, we're going to penalize you.
Woo.
Oh, you hit that. You hit my boy.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be penalized 4 games and not get paid. We'll keep your money.
Mm-hmm.
You see how that works?
I do, man. I hate to say it.
Back in the day, you messed up. You're not going to get paid, boy.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go sit in the oil over there and baste in the oil.
Let me tell you when I quit being a football fan, Henry. I found out that NFL is non-profit. The NFL is non-profit. What does that mean? What does that mean that they're non-profit?
They don't have to pay taxes.
Don't pay taxes. It's just another loophole that the rich have implemented, manipulated to create good for them, bad for you. It's called capitalism. And I'm sorry, but capitalism has a very dark corner in it.
How do you pay? How do you have so much money you can buy the stadium and put up a $100 million stadium and own a team plus own Kraft Foods?
Wow. And the taxpayers fund most of your stadium.
That's right, because they're nonprofit.
And they can charge you to go there.
$125 for the seats way up on top.
And they're nonprofit. I gotta chew on that one some more.
But and thousands of people come there. Now, here's the game. And they caught somebody the other day, I forgot, in Florida, a team. The guy was betting all this money.
Oh yeah, he's a compulsive gambler.
Yeah, this is interesting. Okay, so you have these teams that make all these bucks, and they mesmerize everybody with the media to watch. But if you really keep an eye on it, and the Broncos were a perfect example. They were playing this last weekend. They're at the 10-yard line, and they keep throwing it and threw the game away. And I took a look at all those stats of where everybody's sitting. They're all tied. How do you fill up stadiums? Keep them all tied. Keep them going for that championship. They're not one way up here, one way.
It's like all wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, did you ever see the footage when the previous president was with the guy that ran Vincent whatever?
Yeah.
And they were pretending they were body slamming each other. That's exactly how he ran the presidency in a freaking TV wrestling format style.
And that's the way the NFL has become.
And that's exactly what they are. They've become all drama and all freaking politics.
Yeah, and then they've been gambling forever. They caught the NBA gambling. Remember the refs were throwing the games and stuff. And
wow.
Now they caught some gambling going on in an NFL team. He was ripping off all the money, and now they're gambling.
Yeah, that was. And then they said, well, he didn't throw any games. No games were thrown in this. This was all, on the up and up gambling.
Yeah, just like the Broncos. Okay, you have a running quarterback. He's 10 yards from the end zone to beat this other team,
who has already run touchdowns.
Yeah, and everything. Yet we got to keep the Texans tied. We got to keep everything tied. If they would have won the game, it would put everybody in a different.
It would have skewed the whole picture.
Yeah, so that way all these stadiums wouldn't fill.
Wow.
The Texans, everybody would come pack the place because they're so good or whatever.
Man, Henry, I'm not even going to want to watch the game tomorrow. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to forget, I don't know, what are we looking at for time? Man, I'll tell you what, it goes fast talking to you, bud. Have you ever heard of a people's history of the United States? You may not want to read this if you're not woke, because you will have your eyes open when you look at this book. Howard Zinn wrote this book, and it will blow your mind what this country has done and is doing, not just in the last 10 years, yesterday. There was a vote for a ceasefire yesterday. The UN said, Chapter 99, it says it's imminent. There's going to be mass casualties. More people will die from disease than from the bombings. We must have a ceasefire now for humanitarian purposes, even for humanitarian purposes. Everybody, I said it already, didn't I? We talked about this. And the U.S. vetoed it. Robert Wood. I'm sorry, I forgot I had talked about it, but it's important that I discuss this.
You can still say some more. I mean, let's elaborate on it.
What does that mean if you're a family who's running from bombs, if your ears are still ringing from the bombs from yesterday, if you had your mother and father and your children and wife all blown up, and you came and you found their hand dangling out, or you found their body sandwich pancake between concrete slabs? What about the 50 or 100 men, Palestinian men, that they took yesterday in winter cold and made them strip their clothes off and rolled them into town bare with their underwear on?
How come? What was their point?
That's dehumanizing.
What was their point?
Because the world can look at them and say, look, they're not even human. Well, that's their thought.
Yes.
But it's going to backfire.
We caught them.
It's going to backfire.
We caught all these insurgents.
Yep.
They use these words.
Yeah.
These play on words that one word would carry 1,000 words, you know?
Yep, a different 1,000 different meanings.
Yes, and everybody gets their own opinion of that.
I'm troubled. My heart is so troubled, Henry, just seeing this, because...
Now, you know how you say this? Have you noticed this? Too many people have all these smartphones, that instant information. And I think everybody is, like you said, woke to what's going on in this Middle East crap. Everybody's looking at it, and then they try to divert with other things that take you off. That they bring you right back to it, because they know everybody's.
Well, here's the other thing they're betting on. Typically, when something comes up, it trends and then it's gone. Remember the train crash that was in Ohio?
Yes.
2 weeks later, it was gone.
Yes.
The shootings that happened in Parkland, gone. Sandy Hook, gone. Even every single thing, it's gone. But the people are not letting this one go to sleep.
This is our
The world is watching.
Big time. They're like, wait a minute. Now, what happens if everybody just decides, okay, we're not going to do this war, you go. The men decide, we're not going to fly these planes, fly these drones, run these tanks, we're not going to do it.
Yeah, but that's not what's happening. Did you know that there are 600,000 American citizens in Israel? Listen to this. You're not going to want to hear this, but there are 9 million people in Israel. 600,000 are Americans. 5,000 blacks live in Israel.
Say.
5,000 blacks live in Israel. Homosexuality, gay, LGBTQ, non-existent in Israel.
Why?
Because they're what do you call it? Theocracy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But wait, we gave them $3 billion in 2022. 99.7% of that went towards military aid.
And how much back in the 70s? Same.
Over the years.
What do you know? It's got to do exclusively with how to control that Middle East. Zionism and all that stuff is sitting right there in Israel. Yeah. And we've always had money always makes them do things.
Money talks.
Why would Biden go over there and stand beside them?
Why? Because if you look at who's paying all his bills, it's Zion. We need to get AIPAC out of the public policy.
That's right.
We need to get dark money out of politics. And here's where both wings are of the same bird. If you look at the list of Zionists that are in control of the government, I mean everybody from Janet Yellen to my mind just went blank, but everyone. I'd start with Janet Yellen, but look at anyone in the administration. All of them have dual citizenship. All of them. Without exception. Almost without exception. If you look at NPR, Zion. If you look at CNN, Zion, if you look at every single media outlet, that's why the propaganda is so strong. Sorry, but this might come back and bite me in the ass. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is the propaganda in this country is out of control.
Now, we'll say something here, but it's not to negate her or nothing. We're just going to talk about Dr. Elisa.
Okay.
But we're not going to say nothing. We're just going to say she supports the Israeli push. And you and I both looked at this like, well, that's because she is.
I have the utmost respect for Dr. Alyssa Henry. I mean it. And if you're listening, Dr. Alyssa, you know that I respect you totally. But I will not have a dialogue with anyone who can justify what's going on there. And I'm not justifying what Hamas did, but I tell you this. Go watch Born in Gaza on Netflix tonight. Get your Netflix, go watch Born in Gaza. She watched it and she said, I don't see no problem with the way they're treating the people in Gaza. You know, this film was made in 2014.
Way back.
You know what apartheid is? Watch that movie and you'll see.
Yeah.
Man, you want to see checkpoints? You can't even go out your front yard in some areas. You can't go out your front door. You got to go out the back. Oh, they'll shoot you dead. Mm-hmm. I saw a video of a woman yesterday, Henry. She was over 80 years old. She said, I've been here since before Israel was here. This was Palestine then. She was sweeping her porch off the day before yesterday, and they shot her in the head. Over 80 years old.
Just to do it. It's called fear. Fear-mongering is war. They give you enough fear.
Boogeyman.
Yes, they give you enough fear. Shoot that old lady in the head. Smash people. Blow your men, women, and children to little bitty bits.
Dehumanizing people makes them easier to kill.
And fear-mongering and showing such fear can wreck you in the mind, it's like a method of war.
Calling every native a savage in the U.S. Constitution was tantamount to the Monroe Doctrine. If you go back in history, look at Doctrine of Discovery, look at the Monroe Doctrine, look at the Manifest Destiny before you really make a judgment. I want to talk about Henisados one of these days, man.
Yes.
It's going to blow your mind. The Henisados were the children of war, and they were all of the native people that have been engulfed in what's now the United States, Southwest United States, and we all think we're Latino, but we don't know that we're Osage and we're Navajo, we're Apache and Chiricahua Apache, we're Lakota, we're Cherokee, we're all those things. All those 250 languages that were here before, all those people are still here. They all call themselves Latino now.
Now you think about it like this, and you look at Christmas.
Oh no.
We're going to talk a minute for it, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay.
And we were wanting to talk about Christmas and how they made sure these giant banks drove that interest rate up. Oh. And then they make sure that your economy's so up, so you have no money. So
it looks good on paper.
We got to have Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So go put all the debt slaves into debt. So far, it'll take them a year to pay it back.
Yeah.
And high interest
it's all and corporations have been recording record profits for 4 years now. Record profits, but their expenses haven't gone up. Only for us.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be if you made six figures, you had a pretty comfortable living. That's the new $40,000.
If that.
If that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know people with
go to the
people in the
grocery
household
store.
can't even survive.
Yeah, you go to the grocery store. You walk in there. It's $100 for a couple of bags.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff you're buying is like, wait a minute, I got this on sale. I used coupons. I used digital coupons. I did everything. I did everything. So my next step is, instead of Christmas shopping, I'm going to go Christmas shoplifting.
Steal it.
Yeah.
He said, Christmas shoplifting, you know?
Yeah.
And so now people are going into these stores and just walking
Smash and grab, man.
Yeah, nobody can't do nothing about it.
Well, you know, Walmart is actually going to be starting to lock up all of their goods now. I don't know if you've seen that. They're putting all glass cages in it. Walmart, the biggest welfare queen on earth, has more employees worldwide on government assistance than any corporation. Walmart has put more people out of business than probably any company in the world, maybe, with the exception of Home Depot and Lowe's. But Walmart.
You know, Walmart bought the Broncos.
Oh, yes, they're down.
And so I went to Walmart the other day, and there was this guy out there selling some box seat tickets.
Were they discounted?
They were discounted down to $1,000. I gave him the $1,000. He brought out 2 boxes that said the Broncos on it. They're just 2
2 Bronco boxes.
2 Bronco boxes.
Not even a good beer.
Nothing. Do you think I got taken?
I think you went for a ride, Henry.
Sure,
ride on a long track.
We call it a show. KUHS Denver, we are the stream with Paul Lane on the Weekend Boost. What a fabulous show he brought you today. I mean, we talked about a lot of things, and my God, did we touch on it.
Guys, I hope we got you thinking today, and I hope that you pick up at least one of these books in the next week or two. Buy one for Christmas for yourself or for someone you love. Wake up, open your eyes. We're being bamboozled. Thanks for joining us. This is the Weekend Boost. I'm Paul Lane, Mr. Henry Archuleta. See you next time.
Take care now.